Hello, everyone. This is Jackie Martin, and I'm with BMore Learning, and we're here for another Pop-Up Positivity interview. And we have a wonderful guest today. I'm so excited to have Kimberly Scales with us. Yay! She is here with Investing in Lives or organization. It's a nonprofit, but really she's a life coach and a student life coach. You focus on 14 to 25-year-olds, right?
That is correct, yes.
Wonderful. So I'm just excited to hear what she's going to share today. This is for both parents and students, or really for anybody who's trying to find the best way to sort of navigate these times. And so, Kimberly, you tell us a little bit more about how you became a life coach for students.
Yeah, so been doing this, come to find out, for 29 years, although a lot of times I didn't realize I was actually a life coach during that season. But early on in my life, I realized that I just really had a heart for those 14 to 25-year-olds. And so through just years in different arenas, nonprofits, working for local governments, working for private schools, I just really found myself just having such a heart for this age group and just all the challenges that they face. People laugh at me a lot of times because they're like, oh, you need to do parent workshops and you need to do this. And I was like, yeah, I don't do adults. That's just not how I'm wired. It's not what I'm gifted to do. I just love sitting down with students, getting to know their hearts, getting to know what they struggle with, because my heart is really that, the world just does so much on them that just distracts them from living the life that they're supposed to live, the one that God's designed for them. And so I just I'm starting to pack that, start looking at what their thinking is, what their passion and purpose, different areas of their life that, where there's organization, time management, just the whole all the different things that students deal with. Whether it's just, life truths or just basic life skills that they just need to make a shift in. I just love stepping in, walking alongside them and helping them do that.
Well, I think that is a gift. I think that is a gifting that everyone who has student age family members, we really need all the support we can get to help each other through every stage of life. And I think that one, we could probably all admit as adults looking back that there were challenges with that in every era. And today, I think it's even tougher sometimes. But now, let's add on to our current circumstances. You're coaching students right now through this period, yes?
I am. So right towards the end of 2019, I transitioned from leading a nonprofit that I had led, a student organization, where that students served and volunteered for 12 years. And then I stepped into this life coaching because I realized that's truly what I love to do, is walk alongside those kids. And so I was able to build up a few clients, and some of those clients have re-signed. I've gotten a few additional ones. And some of the first questions that when all this started that I kind of checked in with was, first of all, how are things going with your family? How's everybody communicating? How are the emotions? Are you doing some check-ins with that? But then also, how is your routine? Because that has shifted for me, for everybody. And I do believe that in order, I don't want to say part of keeping our sanity, but part of keeping some type of structure when everything around us seems to be like, what is happening, it really does our physical bodies, our mind. It just does a lot of good to continue to try to implement some routine. So that's one of the things that my constant check-ins with the current students that I'm seeing is helping them build out that routine and the importance of really doing that right now, but then also in the future.
So give us a couple of tips that maybe you help your students with respect to suggestions on those routines. It's starting to get nice outside. How do we keep our some of that spring fever's already hitting, especially with kids who are a little older, or heaven forbid the seniors who are going through a lot of changes right now? Is there some tips you can give us for that routine?
Well, one of the things that, even with my own two kids, because I have two college age, I have a son who is a senior in college, so we've dealt with that. But I would say the first thing, and I feel like everybody's kind of done this, is that we're all grieving in some way. And it's important to do that. we are in a very unique situation right now because everybody's grieving. You know, sometimes when you go through something in your life, you think, oh, this is just me going through this.
Mm-hmm.
But for this very rare season, everybody is going through it. So I feel like, though, it is important that if you have experienced some type of loss right now, you need to grieve that and you need to work through that. But what I'm seeing is that most of the students, and even in my own home, you get over it quicker because you know everybody's going through something. And I'm finding a lot of my students feeling grateful. So that would be my first thing, is to go through that grief. Like, what have you lost? What is changing? What are you missing out on right now? But then get to being grateful very quickly. And once you go through that, then maybe you can find a little something to motivate you to get into a good routine. So that's kind of like my first step right off the bat, is allow yourself to kind of grieve that, get to a place where you're really grateful for what you do have right now, because so many people don't. And then you can start working to the routine part. So I kind of answered your question, but not 100%.
Well, but no, I like that, because I think we can't ignore the emotional effect of all of this. You're absolutely right that I think we're all in grieving, and grief has a whole bunch of different stages to it, right? It's got the denial, it's got the anger, it's got the depression, it has, overwhelm, it's got all that in there. And we may be moving through it at different paces of our friends or the rest of the family. So I think that is true, to give each other grace in that and space to do that. So I think that is a great thing, to allow yourself to do it. But I love the idea of gratitude. So how would they do that? How would they sort of move into that gratitude space? Any suggestions there?
Yeah, I would say, but I do want to tag onto the grace thing for just a second that you talked about. And I think this is one of the hard things for parents. And I'm sorry to kind of shift gears, but I don't want parents and families to miss out, is that we are all, like in my home, we're all so uniquely different. There's 4 of us. And I think what we have to do is be very patient with each other, and just know how I'm going to process and react is going to be different than maybe my child, who needs to go into their room and needs a week or 2 till she can come back and tell me how she's feeling. So I think we need to be in tune to the differences in all of us, and be very respectful that we're all dealing with this in a different way. But as far as the gratitude, I mean, we see, every day stories of people, just what they're sharing, and the heart of our country and the world just coming. And so just waking up in our homes is something to be grateful for. Again, we're all in different circumstances, and I don't pretend that we all have the same home life and all that kind of stuff. But if we can wake up and in some way, what are we thankful for? What are we grateful for? I have started this thing. I found some books that my husband had. It was a book on prayer and a book on praise. So I put them beside my bed. So the first thing before my feet hit the floor is I want to say a prayer. And then I use the praise one at night. How can I be thankful? How can I be grateful for what happened during my day? So you have to really be intentional in saying, I'm going to choose to be grateful and thankful for something today.
Well, I love that. And so that's why that's so important as a part of a routine. So setting up that as something you start to do routinely. Are there any other suggestions you have as far as helping to build that structure or routine?
I would say one of the things that I have told my students the most that parents could instantly maybe do, it's hard because a lot of students need freedom of flexibility, especially if you have college age or students that are older in high school. That's what they've been trying to develop, is a routine on their own. And parents need to be careful not to take that over. They still need to do that. But one of the common things that I tell my students is do what you have to do before you do what you want to do. That's always been a go-to. And that includes, if you are a motivator and just get things done, then that's going to be a little bit easier for you. But, I think now we're all having to be team players. And so for students in particular and parents, it's like everybody needs to kind of do their share.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's any specific things that need to get done in the house, the dog walking, the dishes, cleaning up, I think sitting down as a family and really talking things through, but then parents also giving students, especially older ones, the opportunity to be a part of that and not be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are the things we could use your help with. And then the students say, okay, I'll own these things and I'll get them done by this date, so that a parent doesn't come back and badgers them. Why aren't things getting done? But you really use this as an opportunity to grow in different areas, and a routine and structure is key. But knowing that everybody's routine in the house could be a little different.
Well, and I like the idea of getting everybody together, maybe a family powwow, and say, okay, so here's how we're going to divide and conquer this.
Yeah.
And get everyone in their unique way to say and commit to when they're going to do things. The other thing you said that I love so much about is try to get those things you have to do done before the want to do's. Don't you think that's true for adults too?
Oh, absolutely. And I have had to be really careful myself. And I hear a lot of students say, well, I got on the Xbox, and that's fine. And and I think that needs to be worked in there, because that's something that you just don't have to think about. But make sure that you folded your clothes and you put them away first, like to tell yourself, these are the things that I want to do. But yes, let me get these things done first. And then you'll feel better about stepping that. Your parent will feel better about you spending time doing that. And then for parents, like, we need to be modeling that for our children. So for me, that looked like, well, one, just for my emotional stability, I found one lady that I'm going to follow on social media for my news. That's who I'm going to follow. I might watch a little bit of a news show in the morning, but I'm going to limit it because I know I don't need to. So for parents, we can really model. We don't want them to look back and think, well, my parents did it this way. They were on the news all the time. They were always focused on this or this or this. So it starts with the parents. And if we can model that, I think that's a good place to do.
Well, and what you bring up then too is we're kind of circling back to this whole behavior and habits and routines are also fueled by our emotions and how we are. So that when you said in the beginning about you always want to check in with people with how they are, and parents need to be doing that with the students too, but monitoring what it is you're ingesting and taking in. I mean, this is always important for us to do, right, as parents, to watch for ourselves. But right now, I think there's already a very high anxiety level. I mean, people can feel the tension. And I think especially since students have been struggling in that area for a while because we're so hyper connected. So I don't know if there's any other ideas except just limiting that kind of exposure in our house so that the kids aren't constantly, feeling like they're under a barrage of the horrible news. So any other suggestions with trying to keep that sort of emotional part of the students or even us as parents in check?
I think one is being very honest with yourself. With that, again, maybe some families could do little emotional check-ins at dinner or before, because that's the way the day's kind of gone by. So having that communication where they can do that would definitely be important. And then again, you just have to kind of be really real with yourself. And I think depending upon how you as a parent are wired, like, my children do not want to hear. They do not, they literally ask, can we not talk about this virus unless it pertains to our family? Well, I needed to honor that. So if I'm going to be on a phone call with my mom or something like that, I'm going to go outside so I can talk to her about it, what's going on in her neck of the woods. So honor your family and honor each other, and set boundaries for yourself, and be cognizant of how everybody's wired. So I think that's very important.
I love that. And I'll say another thing too, that, and maybe this would be a good suggestion anytime that dinner, now that we're actually having an opportunity to have together, which is such a great thing. Maybe for some people, they need a vent period. So I've been in some groups that we've been meeting recently, and we give 5 minutes for venting at the top. Because sometimes if somebody doesn't get a worry or concern off their chest, then they're distracted the whole time. So, but to limit it, so put some boundaries, like you said, on it, because we could go there and cause that whole stirring up, and it's just not necessary, especially if kids are saying like, stop, I can't take that anymore.
Yeah. But I do think, for me, knowing your child, if your child is not one of those ones that just shares everything with you, at least check in with them and say, do you have somebody, as parents, and this is a big life truth that I believe in through my coaching, is you need to have somebody else in your child's life other than you, a trusted an adult that they are connected to process things with. And so you need to, if they're not going to be sharing with you, which is very normal at different stages of life, check in with them and say, do you have somebody that is speaking truth to you about this, that is encouraging you, that you can go to and share your stuff? Like, I know I'm not always your go-to, and that's okay, but is there somebody that you have? It could be even their best friend's mom, so I think if they're not talking to you, just make sure they do have a safe place that they're able to process and work through some of those emotions. And as parents too, our kids, I'm a big believer that as parents, we should not be making our kids be the adults. So we need to have our safe places so that we're not bringing it to the table as well.
Wow, that's powerful, because I think that's true. We tend to go into our smaller family, and there's a lot of single parents who just have kids in the household and they don't have another adult. They're going to have to find a way to share that, maybe not always with their kids, but to other adults. Wow, that's so powerful. So let me just ask you one other question about the coaching process. So give me one other sort of benefit that you've noticed that you've been able to help these kids with the coaching you've provided.
Like right now during this kind of season,
or in general, either one.
Every student is very uniquely and different. I will say that the two top things that I really just kind of hit at, that to me are just the two go-to, is that one, helping students understand how they were wired, how they were made, breaking through comparison, the confidence, not understanding their giftings, their strengths, that they're amazing, so really starting to work on them having a good understanding of their strengths, their weaknesses, just all the good stuff about them. 10 times out of 10, that comes to the most important thing, and that's the battle that goes on right between here. So inevitably, it comes back to helping those students work on their thinking. Why are they believing the lies that they do? Where they come from? Are there any roots? Is it just lies they're believing, comparing, all those things. So I would say, like, the number one thing that it always comes down to is starting to rewire our brains. And there's a lot of biological stuff that we've learned that goes on in our brains with that kind of stuff. So that truly is probably the number one thing, is getting here and realizing you can capture your thought. You can change your thinking. Yeah. You can change those emotions and not let them rule you. Yeah. So that's the main thing really that we work on.
Wow. Okay. So that's so powerful in the sense of it really empowers. When you hear that word, it empowers students, but I think it's true for adults as well, to say, when you feel like everything's going crazy and you're just worried or anxious or comparing yourself, that you actually have more control over what's going on up there than and to have someone help you walk through that. Well, so I want to end with a question that I've been asking everybody, because this is pop-up positivity. And just like you said, what you allow to go on up here, I really believe ends up showing up out here.
Yeah.
So what I would love is that we all come out of this better people. And so the question my friend Nina Aubert has come up with, and she's been really touting this for years, and I love it. And so I'm asking you, what if it's better? What could you imagine, in what area do you think that as you move forward, as we move forward as a group, as a culture, or whatever, in what area you think, wow, I'm already noticing that this could be even better on the other side? So thoughts on that?
Yeah, so just even the other day, yesterday or a couple of days ago, I did a little video for our Instagram because I've been really spending a lot of time over the last few months with the word shift. So what kind of shift can we make from now going forward?
Nice.
And there were several areas that we identified, and even starting next week, we're going to build out each little one. The first one is, and so a shift is really like changing a direction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are the areas of our life that we can change direction for the better? And I believe it's our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We can start changing our thinking. We can change our behavior for the better. So our thinking for the better, our behavior for the better, our relationships for the better. And for me and my coaching and kind of my background is also our relationship with God.
Nice.
We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of that in the news, just people and all that kind of stuff. So making a change for the better in your thinking, your behavior, your relationships, and your relationship with God. So those are the 4 things that you can even make lists today. Get out your notebook, get out your journal, start writing down what are the things I want to change so that when I'm on the other side, I'm better. Because this is a very unique season where we have been given time. We don't get that very often unless we give it to ourselves and take control of that. So with this time, what can you do in those 4 areas to be better on the other side?
John Maxwell always talks about the fact that it really is, we always say experience is the best teacher, but it really isn't. Evaluated experience we reflect on, taking the time to go, okay, what happened there is really the only way we learn. Otherwise, we keep going around that same mountain, right, over and over again. And so to teach students, or like I said, adults too, how to take advantage of this time as a point of reflection and to go, okay, stop. Somehow the brakes got put on, whether we wanted to have it that way or not. And here we are. So how can we come out better? How can it be better?
Yeah.
Kimberly, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing. We want people to be able to reach you. So tell us your website.
Yeah, my website is investinginlives.org. And it gives you all about like our coaching, different programs. We have a great resource page for care and counselors, for resources for couples and parents, tutoring, academic, college counseling, everything. So if anything, just go to that page and check out stuff there. But that's how you can reach me. And yeah, I'd love to walk alongside your child or someone that you know, just to kind of help them live in life on purpose.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we thank you for being such a great resource and being here with us today. I just wanted to let everybody know to find the other BMore Learning pop-up positivity videos. Go to YouTube, BMore Learning, and look under the channel Pop-Up Positivity. And please subscribe there, because once you do, then every time we post a new video, you'll get a notice about it and you can go check it out. And also, we're on mission to share this with as many students and parents and just community members as possible. So please share it, send it along, and again, please make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much, Kimberly. We appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.